Are you ready? Let's go. Ready?
Ready.
Yeah, ready when you are.
Okay, you ready?
Yep.
Okay, you ready?
I'm ready.
Holden Shepherd, Heidi Anderson, Jan Latter, Alison Patterson, welcome to my little show.
Why do you call it a little chat show?
Jan Nichols, Sam Eichen, Annabelle Smith, Donna Mazza, Rebecca Watson, Jonelle Fraser, Tracy Jacobson, Adam Wallace, Monique Mulligan, Matt Glover, Karen Young. I don't even know where I'm going with this. Welcome to my show. Welcome to another episode of Josh Langley Gets to Know. Now, before we meet our guest, a little bit about my online course for kids. Here I am. Now, this course will be perfect for all kids, but if your kid feels a little bit different for whatever reason, whatever their circumstance, this course may be the best thing for them for the confidence and self-esteem. So just go to my website, joshlangley.com.au for the links for Here I Am. Now, also, hit like and subscribe for my YouTube channel so you get notified when new interviews pop up. So you don't have to search for them or anything. They just get delivered straight to your inbox via a notification. This book is making people cry, but in a good way. So I wanted to meet its author, Emma Young. Now, Emma Young is a journalist. She works at WAtoday. Now, she's also won 8 media awards, including the 2018 Matt Price Award for Best Columnist. This book is her debut novel, but it also was shortlisted for the Fogarty Award in 2019. I wanted to talk to Emma and sort of peel the lid back on what it's like to be a writer, juggling life as a mother, also as a having a full-time job, what it's like, what are the ups and downs. I wanted to just really delve into that process of being a writer. And I think if you're a reader of books like this, or if you're an avid reader, you're going to find this absolutely fascinating to go underneath the surface of what goes on in making a book like this. So join with me, pour a cup of coffee, glass of wine, and let's get to know Emma Young.
What are we gonna do with all this time?
Emma Young, thank you so much for coming on my show. How are you going?
I'm really good, thank you. Thanks for having me.
Well, congratulations. The Last Bookshop is out, and I've been reading some reviews, and you're getting sensational reviews. You've been on the publicity trail. How's it all going? Is it like a whirlwind?
Oh, it really is. It's been a huge whirlwind, and it's felt kind of unreal at times. I don't know if it ever really sunk in. Maybe the first time it sunk in, because I've done a lot of interviews and things, and a lot of social media and all of that. But I did my first author event in the week just gone on Monday. And that was the first time that I had seen people turn up somewhere to see me. And so that was pretty strange.
That's the nerve-wracking thing, because you think, is anyone going to turn up? There's so many horror stories you're seeing where, or like it's a rite of passage as an author to go to an event and there's 20 chairs set up and there's just one little old lady in the front. And you go, and you have to treat
That's what I was expecting.
And you have to treat that one little old lady as the special person, or it could be a full room. It's part of this thing of being an author, isn't it?
I was very lucky I had a full room, but I'm more than expecting to confront my sea of empty chairs at some stage.
Yeah, it happens, but, hopefully it doesn't. But look, that is fantastic. That is congratulations. Look, The Last Bookshop, can you give us a brief little rundown or the brief thumbnail dipped in tar? What's the short story? What's the thing about it?
Yeah, so the thumbnail dipped in tar. That's a new one. So The Last Bookshop is about Kate Copper, and she is a book nerd. She's 30-something like me, and she runs Book Fiend, which is the last bookshop remaining in the Perth city centre. This is around 2016. And in this only slightly reimagined Perth, Book Fiend is not only the last bookshop, general purpose bookshop remaining in the city centre, but it's also the last independent store remaining on what's become the city's most exclusive shopping strip. So this is a really tough time for retail in particular, and bookshops in general, and bookshops in particular. So Kate's got it, doing it pretty tough. Her profits are dropping, her rent's rising and rising. And then she suffers one final financial blow that means that she's got to really decide whether to, let her dream go down or whether she's going to stand up and fight. And the book is about Kate and all the people who decide that they're not going to let her go down. They're going to make her stand up and fight.
I think it's great because it's everyone, even if you're not a book lover, the idea of a connection to a bookshop is so important. And especially if you got a local bookshop, and hats off to all the independent bookshops. And the loss of that is almost like a loss of cultural identity in a way when you lose bookshops. So you used to work in a bookshop though, didn't you? And this is where is this part of the inspiration?
Absolutely. So I've worked in several bookshops across Perth. I worked at Boffin's for some time. Yeah.
Boffins. Love Boffin's. What are the names of the boys at Boffin's?
Bill and Lou.
Bill and Lou. Yes. Love them.
Yeah. So they're such lovely men. And I've worked at West Books, the kids' book supplier, for a little while, just a very short while. Love when West I was at uni. And quite a few years at Elizabeth's as well, quite a few Elizabeth stores around town. So, yeah, I did my time as a bookseller, and that is partly what inspired the story.
So which Boffins was it where they are now underground, or was it when they were in Hay Street?
No, it was in that beautiful airy shop on Hay Street with the big windows and the light flooding in, and I was upstairs at the very top doing the special orders.
Yeah. Would have been a great space.
Yeah, so that was a very special place to be.
Yeah.
It's pretty cool, the shop they've got now as well.
I guess, it's very, because that used to be a food hall, if I remember rightly so.
I'm not sure. Oh, yeah, it might have been. But yeah, somehow they're able to rock both the lovely airfield Erie in the sky, and they're also able to rock the cool underground book cave. So kudos.
They're doing it all. Now, apparently, Emily Paul asked me to ask you about some of the stories that you've had about strange requests from people coming into bookshops. Would you like to share a couple? I'm sure you get a few weird ones.
There's so many that people treat you like some kind of oracle. They seem to think that a person working in a bookshop is going to be smart. And
well, that's a good assumption.
They have this, I guess, but they kind of have this. Oh, sorry. That's my uncle. He's been trying to get me all morning, and I keep
well, your uncle can just wait, can't he?
Yeah.
So you're the oracle?
Where were we?
You're the oracle?
They think you're an oracle. And so they think that you're going to know. They have this touching conviction that you're going to know the answer when they say, what was that book that I heard about on Gillian O'Shaughnessy's show 2 weeks ago? And what was that book that was on the gardening show last night? I think it had a tree on it. Or what's that book? And I can't remember what it's called or who it's by, but it's got a girl in a blue dress on the cover. And the weirdest thing is that after a few years of hearing this stuff, you actually know some of the answers.
Oh, really?
So you kind of are an oracle. But I also like to treat you like some kind of information booth as well. And they just wander up and go, where can I buy bedspreads? Or where can I get a pencil? Or, they just seem to think that that's like an unofficicial information stall for the city. So you get all sorts.
I totally understand that. I get that because I did that only recently, but it was in an interview. I was trying to describe a book I'd heard on Radio National being mentioned, and I was interviewing someone, and I said, I heard about this great book. It was talking about it on Radio National. Can't remember the name, can't remember the title or anything. So it was all really useless to everyone. So that's what they're the requests that people come up with. Wow. Okay.
And these days you have Google, so you might actually be able to have a hope in hell of finding out. But back then we didn't.
No, exactly. Wow. So what's it working in a bookshop? Is it all that it's cracked up to be? Is it that romantic thing where you get to take the books home, you can sit back and just read all day long?
It's partly exactly that wonderful and romantic, which is why I want to go back there in part of myself so bad, and part of why I work so hard to evoke this nostalgic feeling. But I think people possibly don't quite realise what difficult work it is and what hard work. It's hard physical work. It's dirty. It's quite long hours. You're on your feet all day. You're lifting heavy boxes. You're lifting heavy stacks of things. Things fall over. They get really dusty. There's lots of, if you're in secondhand books, there's lots of boxes that you have to ferret through, which are full of silverfish and moths and, centipedes and
stop
things
it.
that have
You're
been in
ruining
people's
it
garages.
for me, Emma. Oh my God, this romantic notion. Like a cockroach from a
So
box
yeah,
of
there's
secondhand
some,
books.
yeah, but it's kind of exciting. You might find a treasure in that box as well.
Well,
So that's what keeps you ferreting through every single book, just in case, around the next corner is something really rare and exciting. So it's difficult.
Which bookshop did you have in mind when you're really painting that picture of Book Fiend? Which one did you just bring them all together to create the perfect, ideal bookshop?
It's a little bit of Elizabeth's in South Terrace, Fremantle.
Yeah,
there's a little bit of that in there with the big windows flung open, like beckoning arms. And there's a little bit of the old Elizabeth's in Hay Street, a little bit like there's a bit of that layout.
Yeah. Okay. Yep.
But I combined new and secondhand books in my fantasy bookshop, so that's something different. And I made it more white and light and airy, not so much dark wood. So I kind of, I was inspired by Elizabeth's, but I made it my own, and I made it a little bit of that.
It's your
country
story.
house library, like in Beauty and the Beast, where she visits the library and it's just walls of books.
I'm gonna hold up the cover here now. If people wanted to zoom in, the actual shop where this photograph was taken is in Fremantle, on High Street, isn't it? And that is like the best shop. I actually got to go up to the second floor, which normally you can't go up.
Ooh.
I know, very special. And that's
he must like you.
I know. I don't think I was invited back. I don't know what I did, but and then there's even higher. You can go even higher, but I couldn't go up there. I wanted to. But how did you walk? Whose idea was it to photograph? What's the name of the bookshop again? I can't remember.
It's Bill Campbell's secondhand bookshop.
That's right, Bill Campbell. Yeah. Whose idea was it to use that on the cover?
It was Fremantle Press. They looked far and wide, and they searched a lot of stock imagery for the perfect bookshop. And eventually they just went and asked Bill, and it was so lovely that the book is really strong in its theme of, shop local and support local business. And it's just lovely that a book then published in Fremantle found that the perfect image for the cover was so close to home.
Yeah.
That was their idea, and to his credit, Bill agreed, and now it's the most beautiful cover that everybody loves. Yeah. So they took that photo especially.
Oh, actually,
and that is my editor in the background of the photo. See the girl?
Oh,
that's my editor, Armel.
There we go. The very back.
Yeah.
And there was did they put the rug there? Was the rug already there?
In fact, there's usually a rather more practical rubber mat there. So they did doll it up a tiny bit, but not very much. That's basically what it looks like.
I love it. So what's the response been? What sort of feedback and reviews have you been getting?
Oh, I've had some lovely, lovely reviews, and I'm feeling very lucky for it. I had a very positive review in the Sydney Morning Herald that I'm very proud of.
Wow.
But I've had a lot of unanimous, you made me cry.
Yeah,
I've made everybody in Perth cry, apparently.
Love it.
So that makes me feel evilly smug and good. Very happy to have upset everyone. It's got
in a good way.
So that's good. Yeah.
In a good way.
In that, I'm assuming they meant they enjoyed. They're all saying they loved the book, but I made them cry. So that's really good. And a lot of people have told me that it's got heart, which is a lovely thing to say, because I do really sincerely mean all of the messages in the book. And I think that must shine through, because a lot of people are telling me it has heart. And just yesterday, the rep for Random House, who was driving us around on this signing tour, told me that it was kind of striking a chord with people. And I think that's possibly because the news has been so dark for the past couple of years, and it's a very cozy, nostalgic kind of bookshop that takes you back a bit and just dwells in a comforting kind of land for a lot of it. So there might be an element of that, and possibly also post-COVID, people have really remembered the value of a local shop and a local bookshop and that connection that they have with a local retailer. And they've remembered the value of that in a post-COVID landscape where everybody had to really support those little businesses to stop them closing. And in turn, those businesses pivoted, to use a cliche, those businesses pivoted to
That's
give them
all
the
right.
service and
We
the
all
home
get,
delivery.
we all get to use pivot 3 times in a week before we go over our limit. I've used it twice already.
So appropriate though, because those bookshops all spun around and they pitched in and they delivered books to people when they needed them, and I think people were really grateful, and they were finally seeing the value that maybe we'd forgotten about in the pursuit of convenience and saving $1. So that's possibly why it struck a chord with people right now as well.
I think, as you said, there's 2 points there. The way you've created that, the feel of the bookshop, is that gorgeous sort of snuggled down, what book am I going to discover? I can sit in a chair, I can read a good book. And the other thing is it's that David and Goliath battle that you've captured so beautifully. It's that here come the big retailers, here come the rich landlords who just want money, 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 money. And you've got this beautiful sort of community institution of a bookshop, which is the David there going, what am I going to do? It's like, no, this is you're losing your community, you're losing your soul and your heart when you take away shops like this. And I love Kate's battle. I haven't actually finished reading it, so I haven't actually read the end yet. And I want to curl up by the fire and finish reading.
You want to cry?
And have a good cry. And I love the way you've mentioned a few Perth landmarks, but you've changed a few names and stuff like that. But you've mentioned the B News Agency. Now, was that the one in Northbridge? The one was on the corner?
Oh, look, I think there might be a Busy Bee.
It was the Busy Bee. They used to be on the corner opposite the Brass Monkey.
Yes, and I'm not actually sure. I've borrowed names from around the suburbs and I've changed things around to suit myself. So, I think there's actually now a Busy Bee News Agency in Como. So,
okay.
So I've changed a whole bunch of things around.
But I think when people read it, especially Perth people or WA people, they'll recognise where you're talking, what you're talking about, and the places and stuff like that. And I think that fills people up with a bit of nostalgia as well. They go, "Oh, I remember."
Yeah, for sure. And
great.
I think they'll remember as well, like they'll relate to the economic time period that it's talking about, that time where the economy was sliding post boom, and shops were closing, and that feeling of change where you live in a rapidly changing city is really strong in Perth, I think, because we all are so conscious of the way things are changing and so fast, and we all take a keen interest when a shop closes and another one takes its place. So I think it taps into all of that as well.
Yeah, definitely. Now, you work full time as well. You're a journalist. Now, you're a new mum and you've just got this book out. How do you juggle everything?
I probably wouldn't be able to do it without my husband, who is, I went back to work when my son Augie was 5 months. He's now 8 months. And my husband Stu took over because we decided that we were going to co-parent from the beginning. That was important to us, especially since I'm trying to kind of set up 2 careers at once. So look, I won't deny that it's been challenging. It's been very challenging. And sometimes I think I'm not appearing as professional to all of the various appointments and things that I'm needing to do. I'm always rushing and always having to be reminded and turn up to things only 85% ready instead of 110% ready. And I hope, and as a professional, I've been a professional for many years, and I feel very self-conscious about that. But I have to just accept that I can't appear completely together all the time. And I hope that people will be understanding and forgiving.
Yeah, I think that's a good thing to do, actually, because it takes a lot of effort, as you would know, to try and keep everything together. And if it's a situation where, okay, well, look, I mean, the life of a writer is one that's fraught with so many craziness. You can't keep it together as a writer anyway, and still trying to juggle the life of a journalist as well as a mum. But so the co-parenting thing, so your husband's going to be sort of the stay-at-home dad while you're doing the full-time job, yeah?
Yeah, that's what, and then we're both going to be working full-time again as of next year. So, yeah, that's what we decided to do, and
that's good. It's refreshing to hear.
Working pretty well.
So I was going to say, being a journalist, how does that inform your fiction writing?
Oh, it's amazing, because for quite a few years before I started writing, I had what I think a lot of people get, which is this feeling that your day job is stopping you being creative or stopping you writing.
Tell me about it.
Yeah, and people have this, well, if I didn't have to work and earn a living, then I would be able to write, and eventually I realized that the day job wasn't going to magically disappear, and you would have to do both at once for a while, if not forever. So I did that. But in the past couple of years, I've realized just how much that job has opened doors for me. It's taught me how to interview and how to research. It's given me this unique perspective on the economic situation of Perth and all those retail strips that I talk about and all the different challenges that small business enter, because I've followed those issues a lot in my writing as the book has developed around them. So those things have dovetailed in a really nice and kind of synchronistic way. It's also made me just very aware of all of the complexities in those situations. And it's also given me a bit of a public profile as well, which I've been able to leverage for some time before the release of my book. So I've always had my eye on the prize in terms of wanting my book to go as far commercially as possible. And so I've been, and that means that I've been conscious of social media and the role that it has to play for at least a few years. And I've been building that profile purposefully so that I don't just go, oh, I'm going to release a book. I better set up an account on everything and start selling it as the book comes out. It was drilled into me that you need to be building that up preferably for years beforehand. And that's what I've done. And I think it's paying off now in my ability to create a bit of a buzz around the book and have a community of readers and like-minded authors around me. So, and, that's partly been delivered to me by my journalism, but I have journalistic colleagues who don't do that and they're not so interested in a public profile. So it's really my choice to have really engaged with those platforms, but it certainly has helped in terms of I'm continuously producing what they call content to give this audience. So I have something new to say all the time.
I think, look, as an author, I think every author needs to have their author platform and they need to be producing content. I know sometimes people go, oh, no, I don't want to do that. And they leave it up to their publisher and their publicist and all that to do it. But I think these days, as an author, you basically partner with your publisher to do all this sort of stuff to get your name out there. And I think... And
why should they bother if you don't want to bother?
Yeah, no, exactly. I totally agree with that. So how have you found balancing that with, staying on top of the social media stuff? How have you found that?
It's been very chaotic. I am lucky because I've always viewed social media as a completely professional tool. So I'm not on it for fun. But having said that, I'm not using it in a cynical way that means I'm just on it to make a buck. I'm on it to use it in the most sincere way that I can that is in line with my values, which means I'm going to use it to celebrate books and book selling and small business, which is what I use it for. And I use it to promote my own book reviews and my own journalism. So I only put things on there that I think add something to a conversation. And I use it as a way to celebrate the attractive and lovely parts of bookselling and books. So I use it in a way that is good with me morally, if that makes sense. I don't just sort of mindlessly scroll, and I'm not addicted to it in that sense. So I don't really have an issue in controlling my use, if you like. I've always kind of gone, okay, you'll look at everything and catch up in the morning, and you'll look at everything and catch up once at night. And hopefully that's not going to take you more than 10 minutes.
I might need you to give me a few lessons, Emma.
Well, there are people who are more organically.
You keep talking. I'll just be on my phone.
It is true though that as the number of events and things have spiraled as the books come out, it has grown to demand more and more time, which I know is a temporary thing. So I'm just trying to embrace and to be grateful for the fact that people are interested now. And, I just have to strike while the iron is hot, because in a few more months, the situation might be different and people might no longer be interested, and there are not all these things to promote and keep on top of and share. So I'm just trying to be philosophical and just sort of hang on and think that maybe in a few months I'll have a bit of a rest.
I don't blame you, but I think while the waves are riding high, ride those waves, and I find that trying to balance that social media with because I've got a new book coming out that's just behind me over there.
Yes, I was going to congratulate you.
Thank you very much. So I'm doing sort of the same sort of thing where you're trying to manage your social media use and not be too obsessed with it, which my husband quite often says, get off your phone. And I say, well, someone may be liking something, and I can't just leave it. I've got to respond, but yeah, look, it is so vital to have that social media presence and to do it in a way that is, making connections with people is what the social media is really good for. And you do have to stay on top of that. Now, I want to talk to you just a little bit about feedback. When you were writing the book, how did you go with feedback from editors and people like that?
Well, I think I possibly put it out to market too early at a stage at which it was not ready. And so I had a lot of my it might have benefited from a professional manuscript feedback service.
Yeah.
But it's difficult to justify paying for that kind of thing when, you're not making any money from your writing. Having said that, it's probably a very worthwhile thing for people to do. Just accept that your book is going to cost you money. It's not going to make you money.
Okay, that's it. A great idea, because I had a lot of people come to me. It's like, shall I pay for a manuscript service or assessment service? And I actually asked a few other sort of well-known writers, and they said, I had mine done. And it's like everyone does it. So it's like, okay, pay your money, get it done.
It's an investment.
I love that.
Yeah.
It's an investment, not a cost.
Yeah.
So anyway.
So I probably would have done that. But I ended up, I had been working on it probably for 2 years, which includes resting time and a bit of self-editing time and seeking feedback from a couple of friends and that sort of thing. And then after 2 years, I began to put it out to agents, and that was quite a bruising process. I had the first agent that I put it out to was, I think, a Sydney agent who was a bit frustrated by it because the structure needed a lot of work, and she was basically like, what is with this opening? Like, this opening is not telling me anything I need to know. What's going on in these first few chapters? You need to just completely rework this. And what's with this character? And you need to give them a story. And can't you give her a boyfriend that this or that? And it was like very forthright advice.
She sounds like an agent.
Yeah. So, but I think the ones that give you a bit of feedback like that and sound irritated, it's because they see some promise.
Yes.
And
At least
they're
they've read it.
frustrated that you haven't done better, which is kind of encouraging in a way, but it wasn't then. So she said, yes, I'll read this again if you rework that opening. So I thought that I understood what she wanted, and I didn't, but I did the work and I sent it back to her, and she was even more frustrated and cut me loose. So that had,
It's a tough
a
game,
few more
isn't it?
months down the gurgler.
Mm.
Yeah. So out to another agent. I sent it out probably, I don't know, to about 5 or 6 agents over the year. And it improved as I had worked in more feedback and done more rewriting. Some said they liked the writing, but not the plot. And some said they liked the plot, but not the writing. But when advice is getting that nuanced, you know that you're getting closer, I think.
Yeah, yep.
And then there was another agent who finally, another one who I think liked it but could see that it wasn't quite there, because she said to me, I did read the whole thing. And she sounded confused as to why she'd read the whole thing, because there was so much wrong with it. But there was something that made her read it, which is encouraging, but
Damned with faint praise.
yeah, it was very much like that. But she, bless her, for no remuneration, spent an hour on the phone with me, quizzing me deeply on why I had written the book and what I was trying to do with those characters, and made me see how I had perhaps not dug deep enough and not been honest or brave enough in my approach to it to really do some of that deep work. And that was a transformative conversation. It sparked a month off work, unpaid, because I had run out of annual leave because I'd spent it all on writing. And at the end of that month, I had the manuscript that got me shortlisted for the Fogarty Literary Award. So
I think that's really amazing. So just to have someone really question you and actually interrogate you on your purpose and why you're writing or what are these characters doing made you sort of have to really reanalyze what you're doing yourself.
it was terrifying because it needed so much work. Like I worked full time for a month by myself in the living room, just like a mad scientist, and completely rewrote the whole thing. So this is what I'm saying, like, just do yourself a favor and get advice early. don't spend 2 years like in your own solitude and then another year like just learn some stuff before you write the book. Seriously.
I think so many people, especially people who are just starting out, they may write the first draft, but they think it's the last draft. And when you tell them, oh, this is the first of most probably 10, 15 drafts, and they go, what? What, you mean I've got to make effort? And I said, yeah, you've got to make it. Most authors, most books, it's the 10 drafts, it's the 15, it's the reworking, it's the redoing the entire plot line, it's redrawing characters, adding new characters, taking them away. And I think the idea of all that effort puts people off in a way.
It's terrifying.
Yeah.
It would put anyone off.
Yeah.
For good reason. It's horrendous. I don't know why any of us do it, frankly.
When you were,
there's these little magical moments in there that make it worth it, but it's pure insanity.
In that month you took off and you were sitting there and you were frantically rewriting this thing, did you feel like a writer, like a real writer?
Oh, yeah, it felt good. It felt awful, but it felt good.
Yes.
Like I was like, yeah, you and me, manuscript, let's go. You and me are going to be honest with each other. And I got my highlighters, I had my scissors, I had my sticky tape, I had the whole draft like spread out on the floor. I went and sat by the river and couldn't come back till I'd done a character study and all of this sort of, it was good. Like I was living the dream. Which is why you need time to write.
And that's exactly what it's about.
You have to make the time.
Yeah, that when you were knee deep in that sort of stuff, that's when you feel like you're an absolute, this is what you're doing it for. And even though at that point in time you think, oh, well, am I going to get money for this, whatever, it doesn't matter. It's in that creative process, you and the manuscript. I love that, just that.
Yeah. And even if you did eventually get money, there is no way you would ever make the kind of money that is commensurate with how hard that work is. So it becomes sort of irrelevant.
Yeah, in a way. Yeah, I suppose you're right. Yeah.
In a way, yeah.
But I suppose you're still looking forward to getting some lovely royalties from this, I hope.
That would be nice. That would be so nice.
Now,
One
look,
day.
I'm gonna wrap it up shortly, but this is something I'm gonna start asking every guest from now on, because I think it's a good question. What lights you up?
Oh,
I know, I just threw it at you, sorry. It could be anything.
it's going to sound really cliched, but right now my son lights me up, obviously.
Beautiful.
Like,
No, that's good.
yeah.
That's good. I
Makes me
think,
real tired too. But
but it's a good tired.
yeah, it's like a beautiful, right kind of tired.
Mm.
Yeah.
Mm.
And reading a good book lights me up. Like that moment where you're in deep and you're flying through the pages and you just want nothing more than to just be you in the book forever.
Well,
That's a great
it sounds
feeling.
like people are doing that with your book, Emma, for sounding by the feedback.
I think they are, yeah.
Which is great. And to have people say that, it just makes you go, yes, that all that effort, all that battle between you and the manuscript has paid off. And I think it's going to, got a lot more to go, a lot more. It's on the early days. It's only been out for a month, a few weeks?
6 weeks.
6 weeks. Plenty of time. So everyone, do yourself a favor, grab a copy of The Last Bookshop. Fremantle Press is the publisher. Now, Emma, if people want to get in contact with you or give you feedback and say, I love the book, it made me cry, where do they go?
EmmaYoungWrites.com.
Okay, I'll pop it down here. Emma, look, it's
All
been
my socials are on there. Yeah.
Go follow Emma, everyone. She's awesome, and she shares lots of great articles that she does for WAtoday, isn't it? Can I mention that?
Yeah,
Yeah, good. Okay.
please do.
Emma, thank you so much for taking time with me. I wish you every success.
Thanks so much, and thanks for your time, and congratulations on your book too.
Thanks, Emma.
What are we gonna do with all this time?